This is a podcast from Demon FM in association with The Monograph.
Live and loud.
Live and loud. Watch all the highlights on Demon FM's YouTube channel and download for free from demonfm.co.uk/live and loud.
Right, I'm here with Demon Live and Loud in the Organ Grinder pub in Loughborough with White Giant. I conducted an interview just to go along with the recording session they very kindly did a couple of weeks ago. Just to get them to know a bit more about the band and the local music scene. So my first question for you guys is, what motivated you to form a band?
Well, a few of us had been sort of in bands and doing things separately together, like myself and Kieran. We worked together. We both, we'd been playing gigs at similar places, and so Kieran did a lot of solo stuff, and we decided we wanted to start doing something together when my last band sort of finished.
Yeah.
So me and Kieran started jamming together. Things went well. We sort of realised we had something good going, and then we thought we obviously need to build a band around that. So between us, like Kieran knew Liam, those guys both went to music college together. I was in a band before with Elliot, the guitarist. So we gradually brought, each person came in and it just gelled like pretty instantly.
That's cool. So you all kind of had links together then?
Yeah, it was like sort of half of us brought the other half in, and then it all kind of gelled pretty quickly, and then went from there, and it's just been a pretty sort of quick progression to where we are now. Yeah.
That's cool. Yeah, because I think you guys formed a band around about the end of last year.
It was this time last year. It's been like a year pretty much exactly since we started doing it. So yeah.
So being a relatively kind of fresh band, I guess, is it? What kind of difficulties have you found you faced getting perhaps exposure, gigs in the music scene? Is there a difficulty? If there is? But like, what have you faced over the last year that perhaps has been problems that you weren't expecting, perhaps?
I think the biggest problem is finding good venues or the right venues for your sound, really. I mean, we've played loads of different venues in Leicester, and there's plenty of good venues in Leicester, and Nottingham as well. But it's finding the right venues that are your sound and getting your foot in the door there. But I mean, recently we found it's a lot easier to get back to venues, but getting your foot in the door at first is something that's hard to do. So
we're hoping it's like breaking in, I think is.
You've got to start at the bottom, and you start supporting bands and getting pulled to different venues by the bands and stuff like that. And it's about getting into that scene really at first, and then it kind of just snowballs from there. Yeah. And I think we're starting to just see the ball start rolling now. Yeah, well,
that's so do you think that what kind of ways would you get your foot in the door then? Would you kind of adopt an approach of just going to everywhere, or do you kind of pick out the venues that you think suit you?
I think
I think most of the gigs actually, the first few gigs that we did have in Leicester were where we contacted people.
We definitely the first stage was definitely like anything.
In the past 6 months, people have actually come to us and asked if we wanted to support certain people, especially like Bodega and Stealth in Nottingham. Yeah. Like they've asked to, especially if they've got sort of like a spare slot that needs to be filled, because they know that we want to play. Yeah. And we sort of like give that impression every time we play a gig, and like we always want to have something lined up. I think that's really important. I think that's why we work quite hard to keep the ball rolling. Like Elliot said, was that we need to have something in the pipeline for us to work towards, because what's the point of doing it if we don't
important to keep it going along.
Because there's no point going to practice a week later if you haven't got anything lined up for 2 months.
It's like the incentive,
I think there's no secret to it other than it's just hard work and like plugging away all the time. The first, that's how we started, I think, it was like trying to get everything we could at first. We'd like, if anyone asked us to play anywhere, we'd do it, because first of all, it makes us better at what we do, and it's good experience, and it's networking. It's all about who you know, and now it's got to the stage where we've done that so much, we've started to sort of get a bit of a reputation. Obviously, as we're fairly hard working. We always come and play play our best, and I think that's starting to get recognised now so much that at first it was just like if there was, like you said, a spare slot,
Yeah.
they'd ask us to do it. Now it's a bit more like if they have decent bands come in, I think we're sort of getting to the stage where we're up there and they want us to come and play. So it's pretty good.
That's cool. All right then, I've got a pretty interesting question. White Giant, the name. How did that come about? Because my understanding, correct me if I'm wrong, a white giant, I think, is a big luminous star burning brightly.
Well,
Is it anything related? Are
I'll
you secret
correct you on
astrologers,
that.
or are
I'll correct you on
are
that.
you ready to-
It's a red giant
and
and then a white nova, supernova.
No, there are.
No, there's a red. It's a red giant and then white supernova. Isn't it a white nova? Is that?
No, you can
White
have,
star?
You can have a white dwarf.
White dwarf. That's
White
it.
dwarves are more common.
Yeah.
But white giants do exist.
Is exception.
Oh, whatever, mate.
This is it. Yeah.
But anyway, it's got nothing to do with that.
Okay.
I was in a band in Leeds for about 2 years called Nature of the Beast, and it was like really fun, sort of like rock and roll. It was a lot heavier than what we have now, but it was one of the names that cropped up when we wanted to change the name,
Yeah.
even though we never did change the name in the end. And I remember we were playing our first gig at Soundhouse. Obar.
Yeah.
No, musician.
Yeah, it was Obar. We were upstairs, Flat Five.
Oh yeah, of course.
Supporting,
Yeah. Oh yeah, we played at the O-Bar, one of the Flat 5 nights,
Yeah.
and I think we'd all thought about like what we wanted individually the band to say, but I think the only one Kieran remembered was White Giant. It's literally before we went on, and he just said we are White Giant.
So it's pretty
And-
spur of the moment then.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was
We
good, but it made sense. It was,
Yeah.
We had-
it was natural kind of thing. Rather
We
than
had
like-
that. I remember another one was Prince Infinity.
It was Prince Symphony, but everyone.
Oh, yeah,
someone
it
misheard
was-
it and thought
it
it
was-
was Prince.
it was
Infinity.
Prince.
I misheard it. When first came out, I was like, I love Prince. Right? Yeah. So we're Prince Infinity. So we're just going to play Prince covers.
Yeah. So yeah, the White Giant was the logical choice after that,
Hmm.
because all the others were just not as good. Am I allowed to say that?
Yeah, that's fair enough.
It was also, well, after that first gig, we weren't still 100% sure of it, but I mean, when we started, the sound started coming together, and also the artwork.
Yeah.
As soon as the artwork was
Yeah.
done for the first one, that was literally just like, right, it's got to be that
It
now.
makes sense.
It
Yeah.
just suits it to a T.
We try and like keep. Well, we're thinking of like keeping as much as that sort of like symbol, that icon, as much as possible,
Yeah.
just so people can like recognise it as something we've
In a
done.
way, that's as much our name as White Giant.
It's like a brand, I guess.
Like
then.
that.
Yeah.
Mm. Yeah. But yeah.
That's fair enough. Yeah, so you're talking a bit about how the band you're in was previously heavy. So what, across all of you guys, what are your influences for this kind of band then, would you say?
Do you want to go from
What are
right
your
to left?
influences for White Giant?
Well, as Miller said before, we were in a band before this, and we were in actually quite a folky band sort of thing. And that's how me and Miller met. And my influences are still kind of bluesy and folky and stuff like that, and that's kind of where I've always played from. But being in this band, we've all kind of influenced each other, and I think that's one of the things that we try and get to, that we get to a common ground that's different to
Yeah.
what we've heard before, but
Yeah.
it's kind of a cross section between all of our influences.
No, it makes sense. You're trying to like, when you're saying like different to what you've heard before, obviously people generally musicians take an influence, but you don't like kind of directly pander to it, I guess. You perhaps kind of incorporated it.
Lots of different people. We've had loads of different people say like they hear loads of different bands in us.
Yeah.
Even if it's 30 seconds in a song, but we do try and take influence from as wide a range as possible, and then make that our own.
Fair enough.
Yeah,
Is
we
there
do have different backgrounds, all individually, but I think that because from the start we've always had like a really good, strong work ethic, and we work really hard, and the stuff that people will hear, like the finishing product, behind like the veil, there's like a hell of a lot of, rubbish, where we have to like sieve it sort of out and sort of like really work at the things that we like doing. And I think one of the reasons that we sort of enjoying it as much as possible. Is that it's quite natural. Some of the like connections that we had within the band as on a whole, and I think that's kind of like one of the reasons why we do sound quite original. Like, just like. I don't know, people ask us what sort of genre we are, but I don't think it's so difficult for us to decide because we just enjoy doing, you know.
It's all the outcome.
Yeah, it's the outcome of loads of different things, and then, you know.
I think it's the scope of our influences. Like, obviously, like Elliot said, he's like folk and sort of that kind of thing. Liam, and I know, comes from a heavier sort of background, like, you know, rock stuff. Kieran's more like singer-songwriter, that kind of stuff, and I was more like hip-hop sort of funk kind of background. And then I think the way we did it was obviously take elements from all of that stuff between us and find the point where it all kind of crosses, and that's where our sound is.
Yeah, like a kind of melding pot of everything. Yeah. All right then. Okay, cool. Just gonna ask a couple questions about the Leicester kind of Midlands music scene, industry and stuff. Because as I was saying earlier, guys, you're just saying you're starting to reap the rewards, perhaps from pushing yourself as a new band and getting these slots. So. Do you find that the market itself is, I mean, you guys are right, I found it hard to quite label, I don't like to generally label people anyway, because I feel like it's a bit, yeah, exactly, because if I label someone then people might be offended, but it was quite hard, see, I could agree you guys are quite unique. Do you find that helped you in the music scene? Do you find there's a lot of bands in the Leicester music scene that are quite similar at the moment? Not perhaps yourself, but perhaps just have you noticed?
No, I think like Leicester. The thing with Leicester is like in the sort of the local areas. There's not necessarily. I don't think Leicester, especially I think it feels like it's kind of just starting. Obviously, from Nottingham, it's kind of, you know, it's got like Jake Bugg, Indiana, Dog is Dead. You know, like these big bands that have come through recently and like really kind of blown up, and that's given a bit of a boost to the whole area. And like Leicester's and Loughborough and stuff, they're not big places, but I think they're working hard to kind of improve that whole scene. I think there used to be a good scene, like, you know, sort of 10 years ago, and then it kind of died down a bit, and now it kind of feels like it's, you know, there's venues getting a bit, you know, a bit more varied acts in, and we're getting, you know, it's just, it feels like it's starting to sort of become a bit more important again
in the
local area. So
gathering a bit of momentum.
Definitely,
That's cool. But so do you think, where do you think kind of the future is for yourselves now at the stage you're at? So after you've kind of just, like you said, that you've kind of described the last year and how that's gotten. So where do you think the next steps are? Are they clear for yourselves, or?
I think the next step, what we all really want to get is management. Like especially at when this EP is released. Yeah. We're still waiting on a date for it. But when this comes out, obviously,
releasing something,
but yeah, no, definitely. Over the last year, like how far we've come in a year, like it's crazy. So yeah, if it's just, we just got to keep pushing the boundaries and just keep progressing, and just gigs outside of Nottingham and Leicester is what I think we're always talking about at the minute as well. Is more support slots with bands who are in the stage that we want to be in 6 months, because if we're not, then we're not in it for the right reasons.
Yeah, it's like you're saying, an incentive.
So, and there's been talks about moving to places, which is.
Do you think that perhaps there's certain areas of the country where you might you have more chance to succeed, perhaps, or is it more about just really driving into the Midlands, or do you think that?
I'll go for that. There's always talk that if you move to London, then hard, you know, land of opportunities. No, I don't know. I think that whatever or wherever we do something, we know that we have to work really, really hard at it.
Yeah.
And I think we do have that sort of, like I said before, that work ethic. But I think that if we're in the right place at the right time and we run into the right people, it doesn't matter if it's 6 months or, 18 months or 2 years from now. As long as we can sort of show what we are and what we can do, I think something would happen. I think we all feel confident that something could happen.
Yeah.
But like I say, it's being at the right place at the right time. And there's only so much we can do, which is work hard, get as many gigs as possible, push to try and get management. And if we all have to go to Manchester or all have to go to London or wherever, then if we go there, we'll go there for the right reasons. We won't just go there just because we think that's the thing to do.
Yeah.
We need a reason to be in London and move there because it's a big decision for all of us, as well as a group. So, I think that we can only work so hard, and then it's not really in our hands.
Yeah.
So as long as we're doing, if we give ourselves sort of like targets over the next 6 months, like to get gigs further afield, and then we can only do that. Like, I think like the next stages after that will become more apparent, and the things that we might need to work on a little bit harder. But at the moment in time, we've got this EP coming out soon.
Yeah.
And we're really happy with it. And people who've listened to it before think that it sounds pretty good. So we're pretty confident in the position that we're at now. But like I say, the next year, we'll just see what happens. We just know that we just need to work hard at it, whatever crops up.
Yeah.
I think that's like.
Well, there's you brought up two quite important points there that might indicate more about the music scene. Firstly, when you talk about your EP, is it planned to be a physical release?
Yeah, I think so.
If so, how important do you think a physical release is to gaining exposure, to getting onto those bigger steps? Do you think physical releases still bear an importance in this kind of?
I don't think physical release as in we want to fill all the local shops with it. I think that
you think those days are kind of gone?
I don't think they're kind of gone. I think they're there, but for a band like us who nobody knows us at the moment, so we need to pitch to the right people at the right time, and we need to online is perfect for that because we can feed the masses and just.
Yeah, online is
we're not expecting anything in return financially from this. We just want people to realise how good we are.
Do you think that's an important step at the beginning then for your releases to be more about just pushing it? It's not less about about the actual
that's
profit.
Why we care about it so much because you only get one first impression.
Yeah.
I think we don't think that by any means that we're going to release this EP and then make money off it.
No,
we obviously had to spend money to make it, and that's our decision, and because it benefits us. And the online is to get it out there. And I think the reason we want to do physical is because it's nice to have a kind of a tangible thing of something you've made.
Yeah, exactly.
And
we're all proud of it.
Yeah, because we're proud of what we've done, and I think as well as it's good to send it to the right people. I think online feels a bit impersonal.
Yeah.
Whereas if you send something physical to someone, it shows you've made the effort and shows you care about what you do.
Cool. Another point that you brought up about management, how important, because a lot of people, I've heard and read kind of things, I get that general feeling from local music scenes and big music scenes across the industry, it's kind of becoming more like if you've got a computer, you can do a lot of this stuff, you can do a lot of the promo, but do you think management still holds a very important key to that? Yeah,
hugely. I mean, management's not just doing all of that stuff, but it's knowing the right people. It's having the connections, and it's doing all that networking for you, and it's letting us. I mean, we're now at a point where we're happy with how we're writing, but we're only not being able to write as much as we want to and play as much as we want to because we've got to sort all of the other stuff out. So for us, management is, we're not expecting that management's going to solve every problem that we've got overnight. It's that management will get us on the road to being able to just be musicians and just focus on that and just making music. Ultimately that's what we all got in this for. We just want to play music every day.
I think it opens up doors that we haven't got access to.
Yeah, exactly. It's they know the people that we're not going to get in touch with personally. It's just they're a representative for us who is in the right place, really. And as much as we do behind our computers and things, we're not ever going to be the right people for that. Management is a huge part of the industry. We've got friends who are in management and stuff in the industry, and we see how hard they work and what a pivotal role they play for their acts and stuff. So, it is a huge thing.
I think it's also that we need to find the right management. We've played with some pretty substantial bands, and supported some really good bands like Royal Blood. We've supported who are just, they've rocketed over the past 6 months. Yeah. And they give us some really sound advice. We need to find somebody who believes in us, yes, but also like will know the next step for us.
Yeah.
Like like in the next 6 months, if somebody like gave us like the next like a bit of a heads up, like what we needed to do and how we need to do it.
Yeah.
You know, the work, like I say, we're working hard enough. So if we can like make those right, the right steps, then I think that will happen. But yeah, just with management with a little bit of experience who will be able to like guide us. It's just that's what we need. We definitely need that.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's what we'll definitely be pushing for.
All right. Well, yeah, I think I'm coming around about to most of the stuff I wanted to ask you. I've got one last question, just a bit left field to see how you guys feel about yourselves as musicians and stuff. If you could have any musician to replace yourself in the band, if you had to, because of course I'm aware
Do
that
they
you-
have to play your instrument?
Yeah, I feel that. Unless they're proficient at playing that way, I guess.
We all pick John Bonham.
Yeah, if you could pick anyone to kind of be in your position in the band, dead or alive, who would you pick?
It's a tough one. That is a tough question. Dead or alive? Drummer. Who's an amazing drummer that I would want to take my place?
Do they have to be amazing to take your
Well, yeah, okay. Any drummer, yeah.
Steve Jordan.
Steve Jordan.
Ringo Starr, mate.
No, I think because of how I like one of the things that I started playing. I think Mitch Mitchell from the Jimi Hendrix Experience. I think he was one of the first drummers that I thought that's crazy what you're playing. So I think I'd choose him. I think he's good enough
There
to
you
take
go.
my film shoes.
It has to be like a guitarist.
Oh yeah, I guess you've got the best
Singer.
of both worlds there, haven't you?
Guitarist.
No, I'm gonna say Jeff Buckley.
Jeff Buckley.
Yeah, I think he would just be. Yeah, I think he would just kill it.
No, that's
amazing.
I
fair
would
enough.
pick on bass John Paul Jones because I think he's been consistently like incredible for his whole lifetime, and he was like one of the godfathers of like rock and roll from the start, and he's still playing with like them Crooked Vultures, Queens of the Stone Age, you
Yeah.
know, Dave Grohl. He's still up there with like the kings of today, so for him to be able to do that and still be just as good as anybody else, I think that's like credit where it's due.
Yeah.
I think he'd do a good job trying to play my bass line.
Sounds like a pretty good band.
Yeah, I'll just leave it as them three, really. I'd probably pick. I'd probably pick a guy called Nels Klein from Wilco.
Yeah.
Just because I think that he's not just a guitarist. Like he plays just kind of all different sounds and things like this, and he's great at creating soundscape and stuff. And I think that that's something that I try and do in the band and stuff like that. You know, and he's really experimental, and I think like. Well, I could pick anyone with them three. Like, it sound good, but like, I think he'd easily replace me. So yeah.
All right, then, fair enough. Well, thank you very much for the interview, for the information. It's been really informative. You guys say you've got an EP coming out. That's coming out
It's going to be out in December.
December.
Shadows.
Called Shadows.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. And you got a gig at the Crumbling Cookie, I think, coming up soon as well.
Yeah, we're playing
at White Noise Festival, Fibre in
White-
Leicester.
White Noises at the Fibre, yeah?
And then 23rd we're playing with clubs and Pixel Fix at the Cookie Jar. So
Oh, that's cool.
Christmas extravaganza.
Yeah, well, hope everyone goes check it out. Cheers, guys. Thanks very much.
Thank you.
Cheers.